Good morning. Yeah. Last night had a very heavy rain, isn't it? Good morning. Morning, okay. Yeah. So yesterday we were talking about refuge. Our topic is on refuge, and we discussed about refuge in Buddha. From the three objects of refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, we have discussed on the refuge to the Buddha. And so we have learned that how this object of refuge, Buddha, is the reliable refuge. He is a reliable refuge because he himself, achieve all the abilities to protect us, and he has no obscurations, no faults, and the purpose of going under the refuge of Buddha is not just for the gain protection in a mundane world. The main purpose of going under the refuge to the Buddha is to to fulfill the the purpose of beyond mundane world. So to fulfill the purpose of beyond this lifetime's gains and benefits, and beyond these lifetimes gains and benefits are the the stages of liberation. Even to obtain the state of higher rebirth, just purifying the causes to fall into three lower realms, it requires the individual to engage in the practice of karma, preserve the karmic law, cause and effect. The lower realm bring about into individuals a continuation of a life due to committing non-virtuous actions, and we have discussed, there are varieties of non-virtuous actions, starting from the four root downfalls, like killing, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct, etc., and 10 non-virtuous actions. Because of those, because of one's life engaging in those actions, either through body, speech, or mind, then create the causes, for us to fall in the three lower realms. So, in order for us to not to indulge in, not to let our three doors to engage in those negative actions, then the Buddha, having the refuge in Buddha, help us to be mindful, not to commit or not to engage in those negative actions. Like having a very compassionate, loving, but very strict mother. Very compassionate, very loving, and strict mother. It makes sense?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Compassionate and loving, strict father. It makes sense?
Yes.
See, just now we said mother, all the mothers said like this. Father, that time all the father not really moving. Yeah. So compassionate, loving, like how the students are treated by compassionate, loving teacher, compassionate, loving, strict teacher, so like that. So Guru Shakyamuni Buddha is our compassionate, loving spiritual father, compassionate, loving guru, compassionate, loving, and very strict teacher. So just having the remembrance, just having the awareness of that just having the awareness of his existence, it helps us to protect engaging in non-virtuous. The actual fact, the Buddha's omniscience is pervades in every single existence. So that is the actual fact. That's the real thing. So therefore, having the refuge in Buddha not only help us to protect engaging in harmful action in among the among the scene of people, among the daylight, but it's also help to protect ourselves, within the indoors, So when there's no human looking around you, when there's no CCTV, then if you have refuge in your heart, then you will behave. And because knowing who Buddha is, the recognition of Buddha is someone who has omniscience, and omniscience means the mind that which reach every single existent. So if you bring into existence of harsh speech, and that will be captured by the CCTV of Buddha. So if we bring into existence of our disturbing mind, grasping or harmful thoughts to yourself or to others, or any negative emotion arises in our heart, if we have refuge in Buddha, then we will prevent that. If we have refuge, strong refuge in our heart. So now we can see, I think many of us has been Buddhist for a long time, has taken refuge for a long time. But then still we are quite mischievous. We are quite naughty when there's no CCTV that put by government or whatever, we think nonsense. We have amazing disturbing emotions, let it arise in our heart. And even knowingly that those negative emotions like anger, will create a lot of harm to self and others, will create even negative karma. But then we let it arise. In many cases, we know anger is not good, but anger arises, and we sometimes kind of blame that I cannot control. We can control. If we really want, we can control. We never try to control. That's why it arises. So one of a very good trick. One of a very good trick to trick the anger, trick the anger mind. Then whenever about to arise anger, then you just feel the presence of omniscient Buddha. No doubt how much you respect him. No doubt how much venerate him as who he is. Especially those who have already taken refuge. You have no doubt, he is the supreme object of your veneration. You would just listen, 100%, and you will not try to fool him. So you have a very strong imprint of that. So then, just letting your mind remember his presence itself can be a very powerful protection for us not to let us express anger or let us express depression. Because depression leads. I always bring this word in, even though it didn't put in the category of 6 root delusions, because depression lead amazing, lead to amazing, intense negative emotions, negative consequences. It let us be very miserable, and that miserable, itself is a creation of causes of many future miserables. You see. So you see. So if we allow ourselves to get depressed, it's not only harmful for ourselves, but it's also harmful for many other sentient beings. Maybe it starts with someone that will care for you. If you're so depressed, if you're so suffering, maybe your beloved mother, I think she naturally suffered. You see, so just protecting ourselves to make sure that we are happy, it itself is an expression of compassion, expression of compassion, expression of love, and just to make sure that we keep our mental state positive, happy, and let that expose, let that express, through your speech, through your physical existence. I always very very relaxed, very cheerful, very acceptance. When someone is happy, you can feel it. When someone is putting up just a smile on their face, but going through so much trouble in their heart, also we can feel roughly, they're just putting up the smile at you, to you only, But in fact, they are very painful, very suffering. You see, so why it's so important to be happy? Why it's so important to secure the peace, inner peace, and even it may be just samsaric happiness, but even that to secure rather than experience suffering or emotional disturbances, whatever, still better, it's still better, and it still is a practice of compassion and practice of love. Practice of compassion, practice of love has to develop from there, Then so eventually, then one gain the perfection of compassion in the altruistic bodhicitta. Then that improve, then eventually it become omniscient state of Buddha's mind. That's the way. You see, so yeah, so very powerful antidote, to have the refuge in our heart, to remembrance of the Buddha in our heart. And usually we take refuge after learning, the qualities and characteristics of the Buddha. And even during the refuge ceremony, the master has a responsibility to give some teaching on the, introducing the characteristic qualities of the Buddha. it's not just a ceremony, but then that has to be the primary, primary responsibility of the refuge master, to make sure that the student who take the refuge, who really understand where they're taking refuge to, and that itself is the main refuge that will really stick into your heart, and that's how that you gain the protection. Otherwise, just the ceremony itself may how to say, not necessarily can bring an intense impact to you. It just went through some ceremony, 1.5 an hour, finish. But the real thing, the educating our mind, the characteristic and ability of the Buddha, then knowing that, then okay, yes, this is the ultimate object for me to, where I can take the guidance in our day-to-day life to secure happiness, to create the causes of happiness, to develop, the good heart to benefit others, and eventually, the ultimate reason is to become just like him, eventually. You see, so so among all the qualities, one thing that one just sum up in this, he's omniscient, and the omniscient prevails in every single existence. So where there's an existent phenomena, there's an existence of Buddha. Yeah, and what Buddha wants us is to be happy, to be virtuous. So if we let ourselves to be unhappy, then we disappoint Buddha. And yeah, it's like if we don't study properly, we disappoint our parent. And why our parent want us to study? Because they wish better life for you. That's why they, when they see your study, they're happy because of that. So when we are unhappy, we remain under the control of delusion. So as long as we are under the control of delusion, we are still, is no way to be free from the psychic existence. Then Buddha, will have a, if Buddha, how to say, if Buddha, show the aspect of ordinary, then he will always cry for you. He will feel so sad for you. Because we are really, really being so stubborn. Asked to be happy, don't want to be happy. Asked to create causes for happiness, and don't want to create causes for happiness. Yet come and complain to him. Why I'm not happy. Why I'm not liberated. All the time go and complain to him, but never listen to him what he asks you to do. So our situation is very much like that. So therefore, again, I repeat again, it is helpful, we just always have the mindfulness of the Buddha's everywhere. Buddha is everywhere. So then, if you happen to lost in the jungle track, you won't have fear. Even in that case, and if you feel you are lost in your life, you won't. There's a great protection to prevent from the fear. And when we go through some difficult times in life, like occur sicknesses, even though physically, yes, there's a pain, but then mentally, you have a wisdom to overcome it, to transform it. And even when the death comes, then we won't fear for the death. We won't feel we are lonely. We won't feel we are separating from everything. We at least know the Buddha's omniscience is always present with you. Because we start to experience we are separating from our wealth, our family, including separating from this most attached body. Literally, you feel that. from the death process, you literally experience that. There's so much hallucination and brings so much fear, and many people who died, just drown into that fear and create immense of karma to be born into lower realm. That's how, many beings, even though practicing Dharma in the life, but then at the time of dying didn't really be helpful because of one's entire mind is completely overwhelmed with the fearful hallucinations. So in that state, if you can hold on to refuge, just remembrance of Buddha's present, and yeah, it's not just like kind of, not just projecting which is not true, which in fact not true, not like that. It is real. Buddha is omniscient. That's real. Why is Buddha? Because it's omniscient. You see, that's why, and his omniscience is overwhelmed to protect us, overwhelming compassion. You see, overwhelming the altruistic mind. So that's why, as long as we have the mind of his present, that will influence our virtuous mind to express, even at the time of dying. So that's why taking refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha is one of the benefit. Is for sure that will protect falling into three lower realms. The moment you take refuge, the moment you have refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, then that for at least for this transition from this life to next life, the next rebirth is definitely ensured that you will be born in higher rebirths. So you see, so that is the one of the benefit. It's not like maybe, it is definite. You see, so there's a huge benefit. So the reason why it makes definite is because of even at the time of dying, you have the refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. You have the refuge. What means refuge? It's a total reliance. And what that reliance is the having the presence of that protection. Feel the presence of that protection. And you feel protected, and that protection, that protected mind, or feeling of that protected your own situation there, helps to express the Dharma in your heart. Express the Dharma refuge in your heart, and that Dharma refuge, can be in the form of wisdom of emptiness. That Dharma can be in the form of bodhicitta. That Dharma can be in the form of compassion. Totally overwhelmed compassion at the time of dying. And that Dharma can be just simply, simply the mind that which feels the presence of Buddha himself. That is the Dharma. That is the antidote. That's the protection. You see. So that's why now it makes sense that the practicing Buddha Dharma is preparing for a good death. So taking refuge itself, will fulfill that purpose. You see, so minimum, as a Buddhist practitioner, minimum we need to have this ability. Minimum, if we cannot, if we are unable to get opportunity to learn emptiness or realize emptiness, or realize learn bodhicitta or realize bodhicitta, but at least, at least the mind of feeling the presence of Buddha in every single situation, even the worst situation when we face the death. If we have that, you have gained, huge benefit of the Buddha Dharma. Yeah. So like that. So in order for us to, in order practitioners like us to, intensify our practice in refuge in Buddha, then there are many different practices are available. Can be conducted according with your own abilities. Like one of the practices one of the practices even you see the thumb size or the nail size of Buddha's statue or Buddha's image, but even it can be a defected one, and you train your mind to see the actual complete Buddha there, actual existence of Buddha there. Not defining the Buddha on the basis of physical image, the size, the color, the look. As long as there's a representation of Buddha, it can be just his arm length, or just his nose, or just his hair, or just his even just simple drawing by one little kid, drawn as a Buddha in her view, in her understanding, in her motivation, is she's drawing Buddha, but artistically in art form, maybe it may look like a cockroach, but then the motivation of that little innocent kid, is I'm drawing Buddha, and this is Buddha. And as a Buddhist practitioner, someone who has refuge shown to you, and you need to have the ability to view, yes, this is, you see Buddha in that. That little Buddha looked like cockroach, so like that. And again, we have a great problem with this. We need great training in order for us to have, that how to say, the understanding, what really Buddha meant. Buddha is very much, an object or an energy or any existence which has the characteristic of the omniscient, characteristic of like 10 powers, the characteristic of the ability to grant the ultimate refuge to the sentient being, to lead to the state of ultimate liberation. So Buddha can come in many different forms, and we need to train our heart to able to have that pure view, or to able to have that wisdom, to be able to see Buddha in every substance or phenomena that designated by label or any dependent conditions that label as a Buddha. Then we need to have the ability to see in the actual Buddha, not in the image form, not just material form. Yeah. So therefore, whenever we see like a defect statue, then we immediately view absolute complete Buddha there. Then offer respect. It's a great opportunity for us to accumulate just by that defect statue. Seeing absolute Buddha there, create immense opportunity to purify us, create immense opportunity to accumulate causes for happiness, causes for liberation. So then, like even the gesture of making prostration, if you can manage to do prostration, the proper long prostration is so benefit. Again, there are immense benefit for doing that. It's said in the scriptures that the more that your body cover while doing the prostration, towards the object of veneration, then each number of atoms that you carry in your body, or each number of atoms that you cover by your body on the ground, that number of the river that you would take as a will-turning Dharma king. Will-turning Dharma king. Like you can say like King Ashoka, or like now like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, is regarded as a will-turning Dharma king. Or even Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, is a will-turning Dharma king, who can really be a very very influential in creating the peace and causes for the well-being of sentient being. And how wonderful to be born like that. So each atom, you see. So when you do long prostration, you cover more space, isn't it? Then that has a reason because by doing the prostration itself, the prostration happened having the mind of veneration, having the mind of respect. So if you have a respectful mind to someone, or see respectful mind for someone, is already a virtue. The respectful mind is virtue. That already creates so much merit. Then that respectful attitude is also a quality of your humanity. And that humanity it becomes direct antidote to the root cause of samsara, the ignorant self, ego-centered mind. You see. So prostration, directly becoming direct antidote to the root cause of all the problems, all the samsaric existence, the root cause of all the rest of the delusion, like anger, attachment, etc. The root cause is ignorant, self-centered, grasping mind. So that, you see, the humanity that actualizes in your heart by seeing the quality in someone, it becomes a direct antidote for that. You see, so just because of that understanding, then just because of having that mind, then that respect, that humanity, bring into a physical performance, prostration, then the larger the area you cover, the greater benefit it becomes. You see. So no question about how healthy exercise it is for our human body. When you do the long prostration, it really stretch entire your body, entire your organ. And since by knowing the benefit, that you stretch even harder, that will make even better exercise. Otherwise go down like come out like that. So you stretch properly, wholeheartedly, even let it make some sound. So you have the benefit of perfect exercise. You have benefit of creating a huge impact to the elimination of the root cause of samsara, and naturally, you create so much merit as an ordinary human being, who do not enjoy, people see quality in you, people, gain respect to you. When you earn respect, everybody will appreciate that, isn't it? And which is a wonderful thing, So you create so much causes, even in the ordinary life, that you become, more and more wiser. Oneself become more and more attractive, attractive in the virtual way. You become, object of venerations, or object of example, virtuous example, good example, how wonderful to be a good example, a virtuous example, why not? If you have this quality, welcome, So, so when you do this kind of practices, in relation to Buddha, seeing Buddha, even just one defect statue, you see tata, or even from the clay, or it's just someone just abandoned on the street, immediately you see Buddha and you venerate, you make offering, you make prostration, then you can make offerings, then you can make offering of flowers, you can make offerings of water, you make offerings of, the calmness. The moment you see the Buddha statue, it's naturally, you let Buddha's quality to reflect in your own existence, the peacefulness, the calmness, you see. And while you're doing that, if any sentient being passing around you, they will be affected too. Your peacefulness, your calmness will affect. No question about the energy will travel everywhere and affect everybody. But then, even in the gross level, people's gross mind will feel more peaceful when you are so peaceful. So like that. So then, if you don't have a flower or perfume, or incense, or food to offer, then at least you visualize. You see, you visualize, immense of offering, seeing as a Buddha, that defect statue, seeing as a Buddha, then you offer. You visualize, And during the visualization, even it takes 5 minutes from your busy time, and suddenly on the road you see one defect statue, and you just sit there and you start to visualize. It's so peaceful, so wonderful. It's much more better than the morning coffee. It's like so soothing, so comfortable, so uplifting, because of the visualization making entire your mental system in virtues, and our mental system just being in the virtue itself is in the state of peace, in the state of creating cause for peace, You see, so it's a double benefit. You be peace, at the same time create cause for future peace. How wonderful, how wonderful. And we have so many such kind of opportunities everywhere, but we forget to take those opportunities, and we go and put so much effort to find peace, to go somewhere else, pay so much money, neglect your daily responsibilities at home, and finding peace in the retreat center, finding peace in the cave, and but then on the way you just you miss out so many opportunities. And that opportunity may be in your house. So I think all of us may have at least one holy object that represents Buddha in your house, if not at least in your heart. You see, so remembering that it is the peace. Remembering that itself is the creation of causes for the future peace, future happiness. So now ask ourselves how many times we do that. Suddenly found out actually I don't do that at all. Is it? So and at home, if you have an altar or if you have one Buddha statue, and try to place somewhere that which you can always pass by, or not necessarily have to follow the culture that the cultural influence, traditional influence. The altar has to be somewhere very behind, hidden one. Yeah. I mean, for certain practice, for certain deities, like if you are hosting some lawful deities, if you're in a lawful image, if you're practicing some deity yogas, then there are definitely reasons for you to, put somewhere where more private to yourself, because even the image sometimes people may not understand the practice or the meaning. But when you think of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, just look at him. It's like totally in peaceful state. His look. That doesn't matter whether there's a other religious faith comes into your home. Your friends maybe, because I hear some say, "Oh, I have a Christian friend," or this friend, that friend, and they may not appreciate. Therefore, I need to put Buddha's image somewhere behind. I personally disagree with that, because Buddha doesn't matter, unless your mind is already kind of have a wrong view and you want to project, then is your mind's problem. But the Buddha's image itself, even the way he compare with the rest of the other Buddhas, he's even the eyelid. This is eyelid, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Eyelid, the position that he put the eyelid itself is a very peaceful image. It's very, when we are very peaceful, we will do like this. Not like that. Or not like this. It's very depressed one. This is like. Like seeing, through the reality, completely subdued by, overwhelming compassion. Just look at his images like that. And as for individual self, you can put, somewhere that you can, whenever you go out to work, or whenever you move around in the house, you can see him. And if you have this understanding of, okay, it's a truly antidote to my defilement, to my delusions, and if you have that, at least in the motivational state, if you have that, then whenever you see Buddha, it's just a reminder of the peace, happiness, virtue, and antidote, to overcome or to prevent arising of negative emotions. Extremely beneficial. You see. So, so like that. So this is one of the way, and the statues and the tangas, pictures of the Buddha, whenever you see them, you see the Buddha's quality, you see the Buddha's present. Most of the time, when we see the statue, we start to describe, oh, this is golden statue, this is brass statue, this is clay statue, or this is very nice statue, this is a not nice statue, like that. So this is someone who has a refuge. This shouldn't be the attitude. It is not. That there's no benefit. What we are trying to do is we want to take all the privilege. We want to take all the beneficial advantage of having the karma to meet the Buddha, and especially those of you who have karma to take the refuge in Buddha. Then, that is not the mind that we should have. Immediately just see Buddha. You see clay statue, just see Buddha. Golden statues, see Buddha. And whatever the statue that you want to host, you host a statue. You invite a statue. That's something that which really, really bring that inspiration in your heart, that wisdom in your heart when you look at the statue. It's not by the physical aspect, or it's because it's gold, so I think I should have it. And you are keeping very much of gold, not the Buddha. So you are venerating very much the gold, not the Buddha. You see, and our mind won't benefit much for the transformation, because your attitude towards that statue is very much preciousness of the goal, and like that, you see. So that's why we really need to have a clear mind, very clear understanding, so that because there's so much benefit that you can generate, and we already miss a lot of time, what you call taking the opportunity, so like that. So you see, any virtuous thing, in relation to Buddha, you conduct, even through visualization level, it gives so much opportunity to accumulate merit, purify the karma. So that's the whole purpose of practicing Buddha Dharma, to purify the karma and defilement and delusion, and accumulate merit and virtue, and that's how you progress in your spiritual realizations and eventually become Buddha. So that's why it's Buddha. You purify the Buddha, then you become Da. So become Buddha. So like that. You see, so that taking refuge in Buddha, they call the then once you taken refuge in Buddha, then because we take refuge in Buddha for the ultimate liberation, ultimate liberation. So therefore, ultimate liberation, and he has not just to be the conditional cause to bring to ultimate liberation, but he also has all the abilities that any of the other mundane, what do you call you can call it like supernatural power or a higher power or higher ability to provide some sense of giving protections or granting some conditional help, like such as improving wealth, health, long life, protection from fear, etc. Buddha has all those abilities, So when we take refuge in a Buddha, then it's not necessary, it's no need to take refuge in like worldly gods, spirits and nagas. You already have the best refuge, Then on top of that, taking refuge in nagas, spirits, many people do, taking refuge in nagas, spirits, or gods, holy gods, always comes with a condition, always comes with condition. And after you take refuge in like a spirit, then there's a condition to be fulfilled. And if the conditions are not simple, conditions can be very complicated and more, maybe 1,000 times complicated than what Buddha asks us to do. Buddha has no condition for us. Buddha just wants you to be happy, you to be liberated. That's it. That's his condition. His condition is you mustn't suffer. You shouldn't suffer, and you just be liberated. So that's his condition. That's it. But then holy gods and spirits, nagas, landlords, those are also within the spirit. The conditions are there's something they need to fulfill in their own needs. They have certain abilities to provide conditional benefit to us. But then, in order to do that, then it's like a normal business exchange. You give me something, I give you something. So it's like that. So and there are certain commitments that need to, a certain pledge that you need to make that it may even shorten the life, or even encountering certain chronic sicknesses, or committing very heavy karmas. The certain gods, they like some part of even in Nepal, there's some there's in the name of pleasing the some of the worldly gods, sacrifice goats, sacrifice buffalo, like that, You see, you may achieve some mundane, temporary, very minor benefits, but then you have to create so much negative karma. And similar, there are so many other people there who, in the name of gods, then cause so much harm, cause to secure the God's will. Then you need to defeat those believers that who contradict to your belief, and the victim most likely is a human being. The human beings are slaughtered. Human beings are killed in the name of pleasing the God, or in the name of preserving the will of the God. Logically, it doesn't make any sense. That is a virtue. It doesn't make any sense that is the that is the right way. You see, because it is painful. It is really is painful. If you're causing pain to someone, then how can that be virtue? You see, so. But then these people take refuge in their gods, their worldly gods, and they have that commitment. Some people have unbelievable, strange commitments, and it's their choice. But then, if you just use a certain degree of wisdom, even to know the characteristic of, not even an ordinary. There's a numberless gods, but not even ordinary gods. There's some famous gods, some outstanding gods. Some people, even in the name of those gods, they create so much pain to other sentient beings, including humans. You see, and then when you learn about their characteristic of those gods, and one of the characteristics is called mercy, merciful. Merciful. So you see, if it's merciful, then how can you cause pain to others? It is totally contradicting. You see. So it's in fact, maybe those gods are actually enlightened beings, and human defined such kind of characteristic in their gods. But the God's actual quality is merciful. You see, merciful. And if it's merciful, then how can the practice of killing, can harmonize with that characteristic? Is not possible. You see. So it's a human ignorant, human greed, human self-grasping mind, due to the ignorant, bring so much wrong view. That's why I create like that. You see. So similar to, there are so many people who take refuge in nagas, who take refuge in landlord, and especially in Asia, plenty. Even in the Buddhist countries like Thailand, it's a Buddhist country, but there are plenty, who have that kind of idea, you see. And in the West, I don't know. Yeah, but so you see, if you take refuge in the Naga spirit, not only you miss the point, your purpose of your taking refuge is definitely not for ultimate liberation. It is within this lifetime's purpose, And as a Buddhist, I think you totally miss the road. You see, not only that, there's a great creation of negativities in relation with that, and if you don't fulfill certain commitment which is needed to engage in some, again causing harm to sentient being, like animal sacrifices, etc., and then is not only no benefit but also great harm. You see, so when you take refuge, there's a certain kind of restriction. Say, then from now on you take refuge in Buddha, then you don't take refuge in worldly gods and spirits. And if you don't explain that clearly, people sometimes misunderstand. It's like kind of restricting the devotee to not to rely on any others. It's like only to rely on Buddha, me, like that. So it's not just that. It's not that. The main reason is whatever the faults that I have stated just now, I was shared. That's the reason why meaningful to take refuge in the someone who is enlightened, especially those who aspire, in Buddha's teaching. That means the ultimate objective is to actualize liberation. Then you need to take refuge in someone who is already liberated. If someone who is not liberated, then you will take refuge. Then you will bring only halfway. After that, you don't know how to go. You see. So like that. So yeah. So in the benefit of taking refuge in Buddha, it also says that you will be protected from all the fears, protected from all the fears, protected from the lower realms. But then we may think that sometimes I get fear. I think I do refuge. I recall refuge, but the fear is not going away, or the problems are not going away. Then here, one of the principal practice of Buddha's teaching is the karma. You see, when there are the karma that already committed a cause, complete cause, which must experience the result. And again, we can experience those karmic results with less fear, with less suffering. Again, that can be done if you have the mind of refuge in Buddha. If you have the awareness of refuge in Buddha, then even though the karmic result of that, even though it's a very heavy karmic result, very painful, it's painful result, but with the mind of refuge, it will lighten the suffering, or it will shorten the duration of the suffering. So you see, so those are the benefit if you take refuge in Buddha. When you have the awareness of His omniscient presence, it helps. It helps that way. So like that. Okay, what time we need to stop for the tea break? 11 o'clock. Okay. So now we go to Dharma refuge. So I will read through my note here a little bit, which is on page 31, end of page 31, if you want to refer to the small booklet, otherwise no need. So from the 4 lines, first one is Sangye Shodam Suji Sonama, from the Sangye Shodam Suji Sonama. Sangye, so we have done that. Now, Che, So Che means Dharma. The literal meaning is to identify and then transform. Identifying and transforming what? Identifying afflictions, then transform them. So in order to transform any negative emotions, first one should identify that. If we don't identify that, we won't able to purify the therapy, purify from the root. So if we wish to transform the anger or purify the anger, then it's very beneficial to know. It is necessary to know how the anger, what are the characteristics of anger. So every single, the manners of anger, recognize first, then application of the antidote, patient will be able to overcome the anger. So for the purpose of transformation of the defilements or the delusion, then you meditate. You meditate maybe a few moments to recognize the negation. Then you proceed in the meditation on the antidotes. But usually, if we remind the negative, it will intensify the imprint of negativities. But with the intention of purification of the negativities, and first we just zoom into that, the negativity, how it look like. Then after that, you apply the antidote instead of creating more, instead of intensifying the negativity, rather it it brings the clarity to where to apply the antidote. So in that way, then purification of that negative emotion be most effective. All the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha are antidote for the different defilements. Every single the teachings of the Buddha, the teachings on like impermanent, teachings on Four Noble Truths, emptiness, method, compassion, loving kindness, whatever teaching that Buddha have expressed, every single dose of teachings it is an antidote to any kind of defilements. Any kind of defilements. Whatever Dharma practice you engage, is naturally become antidote to all the defilements. But to bring the effectiveness of purification, sweeten the purification, then there are, dedicated direct antidotes. Like for anger, patience is the dedicated direct antidotes. Like attachment, detachment is the direct antidotes. Like for miserliness, direct antidote is generosity, mind of generosity. The immoral, unethical mind, then the moral, ethical discipline. So like that. So the disturbance, the excitement and dull mind, the direct antidote is concentration. The self-grasping, selflessness. Inherent grasping, lack of inherent wisdom. So like that. Yeah. So what is Dharma then? Dharma is that which enable us to overcome affliction. The main antidote being the direct realizations of emptiness, which overcome ignorance. When studying emptiness, one learns about the true truth as a basis, conventional, ultimate and conventional truth. Then we apply our understanding of emptiness to our mind. It will enable us to identify and transform, disturbing emotion and defilements. Without applying emptiness, without using the tool of the true truth, there will be no way of escaping from defilement. So emptiness is the ultimate dharma. Emptiness is the ultimate Dharma. So, because so the ultimate Dharma. So I think I forgot one thing. Even for the Buddha refuge, there's an ultimate, Buddha refuge and a conventional Buddha refuge. So if you categorize into these two, ultimate Buddha refuge is the Dharmakaya state of the Buddha. Then the conventional, the conventional object of Buddha refuge, then the tangas, statues, all those are the conventional stage of Buddha refuge. So if you venerate to the conventional, Buddha refuge, object of refuge, then equally accumulate merit, like venerating to the ultimate Buddha refuge. So it's the same to the Dharma. The ultimate Dharma refuge is the emptiness mind, the wisdom realizing emptiness. And that also the direct wisdom, directly realizing emptiness, wisdom mind, which is the mind of arhats, mind of someone that will achieve the higher level of the path, like above path of seeing, from the five paths, path of accumulation, path of preparation, path of seeing, path of meditation, path of normal learning. So those practitioners who achieve the state of path of seeing onward, their wisdom of meditative equipoise is the ultimate Dharma refuge. And that meditative equipoise, the wisdom realizing emptiness, is no different than the meditative equipoise on wisdom realizing emptiness of the omniscient one. So it's the same thing, the wisdom wise is the wisdom realizing the truth is the same thing. So that's why that is the ultimate Dharma refuge. The conventional Dharma refuge is the scriptures, texts, or any letter that explain the teachings of the Dharma, and those are the conventional Dharma refuge. So the textbooks, the prayer textbooks, sutra textbooks, teaching textbooks, all are conventional Dharma refuge. So you see, as like the Buddha refuge, first you take refuge in the Buddha and gain protection to your heart, and the benefit of that is, an ultimate benefit of that is eventually you yourself obtain the Buddha refuge. So that is the ultimate goal, and that happens through the purification of defilement. So here for the Dharma refuge, we take refuge in Dharma refuge. The ultimate goal is for us to obtain the ultimate Dharma within our mental continuum. Means to realize the emptiness directly within our mind, and eventually that wisdom, develop into an omniscient state. So therefore, it is extremely important for us to learn emptiness. It is extremely important for us to contemplate on emptiness and meditate on emptiness, even in the creational, at the beginner level, even it is in the creational, meditation on emptiness, still is beneficial. It's one of the steps for us to eventually, gain the direct realization on the reality in our wisdom. So, therefore, first we need to study. The study is not just finding different philosophical assertion on the view. It is beneficial. But getting absolute benefit of emptiness is not just in the brain that you have hundreds of ideas about emptiness. Means hundreds of spiritual sighting assertions, because there are hundreds and hundreds of practitioners. They interpret emptiness differently. They interpret, differently. Especially when we are studying philosophy, and some of the philosophy, the opponents, the defender, for the purpose of, of course, the ultimate purpose is to deepen the understanding. But then, as a student, if we don't have the clear the purpose, then we will be caught up with just, like a university student who is learning emptiness to prepare a thesis. Like that, university student, to learn extensively about emptiness to prepare a thesis. And what kind of, usually the university won't appreciate your practical practices of emptiness. They want so many, say this text said that text said that, this person said that person said that, historically said that, this and that. If you fill up the entire page with that, your thesis is perfect. But then say, emptiness should be realized this way, and this is the experience, and you explain the experiential way, your thesis will be failed. You see, so someone who really want to, realize emptiness, then yes, it is extremely, extremely important and beneficial to study the thorough, different philosophical presentation and assertion, because it really helps to get more wisdom. But then we have to also have a very clear mind, not to carry away by that, not to stuck there. Not to stuck there. Otherwise, become very academic. But then, when we really look deeply inwardly, and you didn't gain the emptiness, you are very much empty. You didn't gain the emptiness, but you're very much empty. How wonderful that is. Exists but do not exist, but it's not that too. But then still there's the ego. There's so much thing you still caught up. So you see, so the motivation helps so much. So those who don't have opportunity to study the varieties of philosophical way to intensify your understanding emptiness, then minimum there's a three idea that where you can learn and establish your understanding of emptiness. So these three factors are recommended by Lama Tsongkhapa. The first one is in order to establish the truth of the phenomena or emptiness of the phenomena, reality of the phenomena, the first, it has to be renowned. We cannot find emptiness on a rabbit hole. We won't be able to establish the emptiness on rabbit hole because the rabbit hole does not exist. In Australia, rabbit has a horn? Okay, so it's all right. Still can use that. Because in the rabbit in Japan, India, no horn. So Nagarjuna Masat went into the jungle to check it out, and he couldn't find any rabbit with a horn. So therefore he said, on rabbit horn we can establish emptiness, because the existence is not not renowned in a conventional fact. You see, then it has to be free from the what you call. It has to be free from contradictory of the common sense. it has to be free from contradictory from common sense. Then the third one is it has to be, a lack of inherent existence. The lack of inherent existence only comes the third time. And normally we talk only about the lack of inherent existence. We don't really touch, the first two bases to where you can go and figure it out what is the reality is of the phenomena. So first one, just now I said, the analogy is the rapid horn. The second one is, you see, what we're going to establish, what we are searching for, when we say we are looking for the truth, we are looking for emptiness of I and emptiness of phenomena. So we are actually looking for merely labeled by mind. We are looking for merely labeled by mind. Yeah, merely labeled by mind. Yeah, and that merely labeled by mind is exist, but then do not exist. You need to bring it up to with the reasoning, with the experiential experiences in your analysis, with logic and reasoning. You see, the first one and second one can be the logic and reasoning to establish the third basis, which is lack of inherent existence, meaning exist but do not exist, exist in the name but do not exist intrinsically, do not exist inherently, do not exist independently, do not exist permanently, is on site. You see, so it has to be exist dependently, and that dependently existence that which, if you want to go and identify it, it merely lies in the name, merely lies in the imputation, and that imputation cannot be contradicting from the second point, which is contradicting from the common sense. You see, so this is like a very good science. Why the scientists are very happy with the Buddhist philosophical analysis. In field is very, very, very similar. The very close, or how to say, very close in the scientifically discovering the truth in the physical level, and the Buddhist science of emptiness is talking about relativity. Did I say correctly?
Yes.
Talking about the relativity. Okay, now relativity. Okay. Yes. So, yeah, and in order to bring out something, it really requires so many components, and it has to be correct component, correct factors. If there's one chemical missing, you cannot establish the truth, or you cannot establish the existent. You see, so yeah. The emptiness happening here. No, my feet suddenly, uncontrollably, the nerve going like this. What do you call it? Cramp. It's like that. The toe Try to hook back or you go like this. Okay. I think emptiness helped. I say emptiness already gone. So, yes. So these three. So are we clear? These three basics. So if you analyze, a selflessness on the basis of this, if you analyze selflessness of aggregates, or you want to call it as emptiness of self, emptiness of aggregates, or emptiness of something, or emptiness of pain, or emptiness of delusion, on the basis of these three things, then one will come to a conclusion. So we need to squeeze our brain on the basis of these three things to discover the emptiness, to realize the emptiness, or to learn about emptiness, familiarize about emptiness. So so then it will just guide you, without falling into too extreme nihilism, inner nihilism, because quite a number of researchers or the emptiness, practitioner, through while learning or while contemplating or while meditating, slipped either in nihilism or either in inner nihilism. Either if need to exist means have to exist inherently. Otherwise, if you want to let me understand it's merely labeled by mind, that means nothing exists. So if you fall into this true trap, then you fall into true false, and we won't able to realize emptiness. We won't able to understand the true, absolute true nature of the phenomena of the self. So this is the three bases that we try to every day to day put effort to figure it out. And you will come to a point that sometime you're missing the first point. Is you are searching your reality on something that which from beginning don't exist. You're searching your reality. You're searching the emptiness. Let's say you're searching emptiness of self. If you are not holding on to the first point, you are searching emptiness on the no basis. No basis. So the basis has to exist. You see, basis has to exist. Yeah. Then the second one, if you are searching your emptiness on the dog, your cute dog, then you are against the common sense. You see, so you go and search, or even you search on your own, the basis that you establish on the first step, first point, but then you discover the emptiness. You discover the merely label, but then merely label is not Tenzin Zopa. The merely label is the cute doggy. Even though the emptiness is one taste, the emptiness of the doggy and emptiness of Tenzin Zopa is one taste. Emptiness of all of us still lies in the one taste. But then, dependent on the basis, my emptiness has to realize in me, not in you. My emptiness, the emptiness of me have to realize on my existence, not in the doggy's existence. So if you find out that I'm no different than a dog, then merely label dog, and from today onward I'm empty, so therefore you can label me dog, not human. You can see me dog. From tomorrow onward, you bring around the beach, the dog, you bring the color, because I'm empty. So you see, you miss the common sense. There is the common sense. How smart or how full human being may be. Yesterday we talked about the fullness of human,
as a samsaric being, how smart also, actually we are not so smart. We keep committing causes of suffering. Yeah? So in that way we are very quite fool. But then how fool we may be, or how fool the first human being may be, giving titles to the dog as a dog and a human to a human has a great intelligence there. You see, so that we cannot solve. So that will otherwise we may find a reality, but which is actually not your reality. You may find the truth, but it is not your truth. So you're finding truth of the I, but you are unable to find it. You may find something, but that would be marvelous truth, but you couldn't find what you are really supposed to find. You see. Then with these two, step by step, the two levels, first to the second, then come to a point that, there's existence of identity, but that identity is simply, simply in the form of, the projection by your mind, or in the name, just simply in the name, on the basis of the right base, and even that right base is not inherent existent. Not inherent existent, and even the not inherent, even the truth of the non-inherent existent also non-inherent existent. So then you go like deep into emptiness of emptiness. So you see, so you can go all the way there, all the way to the emptiness of the emptiness, and emptiness of the subject, not just emptiness of the object, but also, or even the realizer of that wisdom, or realizer of that truth, which is your wisdom. Even the nature of that wisdom also is just exists interdependently only in the name. There's non-existent from non-existent inherently. Yeah, non-existent intrinsically. It's just dependently existent merely in the name as a subject, a name as a wisdom. So just meditating like that is already gain immense effect, the transformation of grasping. You see, transformation to any of the delusions, because all the delusions are rooted with the grasping, the ignorant grasping, rooted by the ignorant grasping. So meditative emptiness directly affect to the root, and that naturally affect the rest of the other delusions. So that is the meditation session. So then when you awake from this meditation into a pause meditation, when we engage into daily activities, then you try to have some kind of influence from this meditation in the subject, in your mind. You see things, you do your duties, but it's very much like illusional. Very much like the dance of the magician, or very much like the dream, very much like in the dream. The best is very much like in the dance of the illusion, So you experience all the emotional differences. Good weather, good feeling; bad weather, bad feeling. Happen there, but then your wisdom, your mind, apprehending to that there's no grasping, no defining of bad weather, bad feeling, good weather, good feeling. It feels it, but there's no grasping. You can enjoy the ice cream without grasping. You see, so that's where really comes. I usually say, enjoy the ice cream, but enjoy without grasping. Go to the beach without grasping. have party without grasping, have family without grasping, have all the comfort in your lifetime, but without grasping. You see, so then how wonderful to experience that, and then there won't be disappointment because there's no grasping. If there's any changes happen, the suffering comes because of we cannot take it the changes, especially in happiness or positive things. If changes come, that's the way we suffer. Like life to death is the changes come. But if we don't have a grasping towards I, if we don't have a grasping towards life, then when the changes of death comes, there's no pain, there's no suffering. You see, so you groom up your children with full effort, and the children disappoint you. You won't hurt because you have no grasping. You see, you done your best with your altruism, but then because of the understanding of having the wisdom of emptiness, no grasping. So you see, it's an immediate protection, and of course, you are making a huge impact in destroying the root cause of samsara. Okay, now we go and enjoy the tea and the snack without grasping.